Hello there, everyone. Yes, okay. Sorry. We've had technical difficulties all morning. We had to reboot the router. Things are just causing me trouble. But we are going to finish up the March bench pillow for all seasons. I have my batting. I have some muslin. I have what I'm going to use for backing, and I hear myself talking, so I've got a monitor on. Hold on. All right, there we go. Now I won't hear myself talking anymore. Sorry about that. So everything's good to go. We're set, and we're going to get this taken care of and get this bench cover or pillow cover done. I never thought it would take this long, but I've had some different difficulties between some computer issues and things like that. And February is a short month, but I wanted to make sure we got it done before the end of February. Housekeeping. If you watch me live every day, or the 4 days I'm on, just want you to be aware that tomorrow my live stream will be on knitting. Hold on, I'm still hearing myself. Okay, that should take care of it. So tomorrow I'm starting my knitting series. I will probably be doing knitting and or crocheting on Thursdays for my live streams. But I just wanted to let anyone know that watches me live consistently that that's what's going to happen. We're probably going to do the quilting, and we may get down to quilting on 2 days, crochet 1 day, knit 1 day. I'm not certain what exact path we're going to take, but it's been almost a year now. Well, not quite. It'll be a year in June since I started this channel. And I want to add some additional things, shake up instead of doing the same stuff all the time. We will continue with the bench pillows for all seasons. The first one that I know of that's out on the playlist is July. I did the June one, but I do not believe it made it onto the playlists. I'll have to check on that. And so we are going to keep doing those. Those are definitely something we're going to keep doing. It just may be, like I said, it may be most of what we do for quilt-wise. I've got some different things some fabrics around here that I want to try and do stuff with, but we're playing at this point, so I'm not certain. So on with today's episode. Let's see. First, let's get rid of this and this and this. There we go. And go here. So the first thing we have to do is we need to cut this quilt top, get the corners cut off. So yesterday we got the quilt top completed. Well, in the last part we got the quilt top completed. And now we just need to square up the corners. So I'm using the ruler. In this case, this ruler goes right along the seam. Then keep it straight on this seam and square it up on that seam. And line it all up. Make sure it's square. Let's see. We're having a little bit of a problem here. There we go. There we go. And we cut off the corner. So now we have a nice square corner. Now we're going to do this one. So I'm going to move to this side. Same situation. Line it up on the seams and on the edge, making sure it's all square, and trim. too far over. There, it's better. And our last cut. Line up. Make sure we're square. There we go. Our quilt top is now complete. Whoa! Almost fell there. And that is our finished quilt top. So a lot of people, when they're quilting, they say, oh, I'm quilting. And they get to this point and they stop. Well, this is making a quilt top. This is not quilting. This is piecing. What we just did was piecing. We pieced together a top. Now, to make it a quilt, we need two more things. We need a backing fabric and a batting. And forgive me just one moment, I have to scratch a cat. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. Yes, baby, I see you. Okay, you're a good girl. Okay, sorry about that. So to make the quilt top, we need more room than I have with all this stuff on here. And the bigger the quilt, the more room you need. Just keep that in mind when you are deciding to put quilts together. You need open space at this point. You can do a lot of what we've been, well, you can do all of what we've done so far in a smaller area. But once you get to this point, you need more space. Let me see if I can move the camera back. There we go. Why are you looking like you're at an angle? There we go. Because it was at an angle. Just a little one. Much better. All right. I am also going to get rid of my cutting board because I am not going to be cutting right now. So the first thing you need is your backing. The book gives directions on exactly what size to use for the backing. I don't pay any attention to that. I just get a size that fits over the top. So I've done that. Hey, baby. Okay. The cat has left the building. There we go. So I have a piece of fabric that is big enough to cover up that. I already did it. I took it, put it up there, got it over there. Then we need some batting. The batting is the same idea. You just need enough to be slightly larger than the actual quilt top. So there we go there. Let's see now. I just need, oh, my scissors are over here. I wonder, will I be able to use this other piece for next month's pillow? I will not, because as you can see, it's too short. So this will have to be used for some other purpose, which I'm sure I can find something to use it for. Okay, so here we go. We have our backing and our batting. If this was going to be a quilt that you would hang somewhere, you'd want your backing to be something nice and pretty because people might see it. In this case, this is going to be the inside of a pillowcase, so no one will ever see that. So we don't care. Okay, now let's put our quilt on top. Our quilt top on top. And make sure we've got it centered. It's a little off. There we go. And now we're going to put some paper clips, or not paper clips, safety clips in it. And what this is going to do is it's going to hold the 3 layers together while we quilt. Always start in the middle. And make sure everything is nice and straight. So that's why as I was laying out the batting and the backing, I was making sure it was all nice, flat, straight. So I've been trying to think about how I want to quilt this, and I think all I'm going to do is on the sashing, because this batting, the batting will tell you how far apart your quilt lines can be. This batting can actually go 10 inches between quilting lines. And that shouldn't be an issue. String hanging out here. Get rid of that string. Tape measure, tape measure. So that's 8 inches. And that's exactly 10 inches. So I'll probably do something down the center here. And how wide is this? This is 12 inches. So I probably should do something else from top to bottom. So if I do that in the middle, I'll have to do a couple on this sashing, which you can't see. A couple on this sashing. We'll just have to see how it goes. Smooth it out. Safety pin. Dependent upon your level of perfectionism, that will determine how many safety pins you want to put in. I don't have too much of a problem with them being far apart. I tend to tighten the fabric as I'm sewing, and I'm not doing free motion because I just haven't gotten the hang of that yet. So for me, I don't need a pin every inch. There are people who pin every inch. put safety pins every inch. I'm just not that particular. I smooth it out as I go, I tighten as I sew, and it seems to work fine for me. Let's see here. One here. Oops. Let's go down here. All right. So I'm going to say that's enough. I've got them spaced out reasonably well. Set that over there for the time being. And now we're going to go over to the sewing machine. Okay, I have green somewhere. Yes, it's a very, very dark green. It looks pretty much black, but oh, look at that. We got lucky. We were going to run out of bobbin thread. All right. Let's get rid of our piecing thread, and we're going to get rid of our piecing needle. So this was a universal 70 needle, and this was the second project I'd used it on, so I am going to get rid of it. Yeah, I can feel it. It was starting to get a little worn. All right, I need a quilting needle. And this one is a 80, so a standard 80 needle, but made for quilting, so the eye is a little bit bigger. There we go. Now let's get this foot off of here and put the walking foot on. There's that. And here's the walking foot. Come on. There we go. Come on. Screw didn't want us tightened up. There we go. Oh, better. Tighten screw. Now, So this is a standard 50 weight cotton thread. My batting is also 100% cotton, so this entire pillow cover will be 100% cotton. There's nothing on it that would make it not. Next month's pillow cover, I was looking at it and it calls for buttons. I'm assuming for an eye somewhere, I don't know where. That does not make it not 100% cotton when you put those on. It just means that depending if you're not careful and you buy poorly crafted buttons, you might not be able to run it through a washer or dryer because some of them are made so that and then they melt or something. But if you get a regular standard buttons like you would it for a shirt or something, you should be fine. All right, I am going to increase my stitch length to 3.5, and I am going to see how wide my sashing is. My sashing is just about the width of my foot. That makes my life easy. All right, needle down. There we go. And now I'm just going to stitch right down the sashing. And I'm going to turn it around because that way I don't have a ton of fabric all on one side. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Oops, that's too short. Yeah, I stopped short. Oh well, not too bad. All right, so that's those two. Takes care of that. Now I need to do over here. I will do the same thing twice. Once just off the foot here and once off the foot on that side. Now I'm going to measure it from this side of the foot. This way. Okay. And this side. Oops. Doesn't look too bad. Okay, so I need something between these 2 points to make it shorter, because here's too long. Remember, I can only go 10 inches. That's more than 10 inches. So maybe just down here. I'm just going to square off. Go over here and do this one. And then this one. Oops, no, needle up, press your foot up, there we go. All right, here we go. So let's see here, that's upside down. So here we go, sorry. See, we just did some simple quilting. We're going to take our safety pins back out. And you're wondering, why does the quilt or the batting tell me how close or how far apart I can quilt? The reason is the batting, depending on the quality, will bunch up over time with washings. If you're never going to wash it, I guess it really doesn't matter. But if you are planning on doing any washing to your item, it will get bunched up at some point in time, and that's why the batting, it can tear apart, you know, depending on the number of washings and things. So if you're going to be doing like a baby quilt where the baby is actually going to use it, it's not just going to be something for show that sits on the side and the kid's never allowed to touch it, but it's something the child is actually going to use. You want to get a decent batting, otherwise it's just going to fall apart fairly quickly. My granddaughter is 10, and the quilt she got when she was small, it looks ratty. It's very well used. There are parts of it that have had to be repaired, and fortunately her mother is talented enough to be able to do that. But the batting is still fine. It's still cushy, and I use this same batting. So there you go. Okay, I am going to Now we have to cut the batting and the backing to the same size. Oh, and you're saying, well, why didn't you just cut it to the same size when you started? Because when you quilt, things pucker a bit. They pull in. And if you cut the batting too soon, batting and the backing to the exact same size when you start, it may not be the exact same size when you end. All right, nice long ruler. Remember, we squared up our edges earlier, so we know they are nice and straight and square in the corners. So go one side. And we're going to do the other little side here. And now comes the fun part, having to do the long edges. So you have to start at one point and work your way to the other point, while keeping everything straight. Now they do make cutting boards like this, self-healing boards, that are as large as my table, which I think is 6 by 4, 36 inches. So it's 3 feet this way, 3 by 5. That's what it is, 3 by 5. I knew it was something standard that I should remember. And there is a cutting board that they make that is exactly the same size as this table. It is extremely expensive. But if you're going to be cutting a lot of big quilts, trimming a lot of big quilts, it could come in handy. I would never use it. I would have it sitting off to the side, which would make it warp, and then I would not put it on when I needed it because it was such a pain to take on and off, and it just wouldn't be something useful for me. But it could be something useful for someone else, or if you have an even larger sewing room than I do, you can have a whole table set up just for cutting. All right. Let's see here. Close up that. All righty. And I'll keep that up there. And this goes this way. And here we go. There's our top. And it is quilted. It is officially a quilt. Now, we need to make our envelope to close up, or to put on the back so that the pillow can go in. And I can never remember the size of 11.5 by 38.5 inches. All right. This green does not match that green in my opinion, but it's what I had and it's not bad, so I'm going to go with it. So 38, keeping in mind the length of standard cotton is 42 to 45 inches, and we need 38.5, so that's going to be fine. So lengthwise, we're going to go salvage to salvage. We need two pieces that are 11.5 inches wide, so that would be 23 inches. And I do have a torn end on this fabric, so that's good. And that means I don't have to worry about any. I'm going to give it about, I'm probably going to give it a 1/2 inch, so I'm probably going to go 23.5. Take my little scissors, 23.5 on the selvage, snip, and tear. All right. And put it back on my little baby bolt. Oh, there's 2 pieces here. There's a strip in there. All right. And that fabric can go over here with all the rest of I've used fabric. All right. Now, getting rid of all of these strings. And the strings are why I added a 1/2 inch, because I knew that there was going to be extra. Get the iron warmed up, because my iron turns off when it's been sitting upright for a period of time. It turns itself off. And now, why do I care about grain on the back side of pillowcase? The backside, which I still think I might end up going through and putting Velcro on at some point, but I haven't, will need to be sitting flat. And if the grain of your fabric isn't straight, then it can wobble a lot. And like I said, I need to go back. I truly believe that I want to put Velcro on the back of all the cases, but I'm also considering remaking all of the cases. I'm thinking about using all solids and or like wave prints. I don't know what else to call them. Instead of using really prints like this that are really busy, I'm thinking about going through and making them all in solids. Just because it looks, I've had some trouble with the patterns this past year when I've made them for the first time, and I think they all look very, very busy with the fabrics that I chose. So I'm toying around with the idea of doing that. And if I do that, I will probably put Velcro on the new ones. So where the seam was down the middle, I sprayed with water. And I've matched up both sides of my fabric with the torn edges. And now I have a new seam. And now I'm going to do the same thing again. Because I need to cut these to be 2 11.5 inch wide pieces. And then I will need to cut them to length. Okay. That didn't turn out well, did it? No, it did not. Let's try this again. So the seams that were already there decided they wanted to get in the way. Okay. Now let's try this again. Matching up our cut edges. Or they're not cut, they're torn. Matching up our torn edges. Okay, so now we're going to do a dual ruler thing. First, we're going to cut off the torn edge on one side. And I try and do the least amount possible, so smallest amount. And now I need 11.5 inches, and I don't have a ruler that I can do that with. I mean, I do. I've got a 12-inch, but for the sake of this, I'm not walking over there to get it. So the ruler goes from 1 up, and I am going to put the 11.5 inch mark of this ruler on the cut edge. Then I'm going to take this ruler that I just used and butt it up against that one, making sure that it's straight and even on the fold. Move this one out of the way and cut. And now I have one piece that is 11.5 inches wide. So now I need to do that again. Make sure the fabric is all on the cutting board. 11.5 inches. Line it up on the fold. Make sure we're square. And we're good. And that gave me, because I added a 1/2 inch to what I needed. So now I need them to be 38.5 inches long. 38.5. Yes, yes, yes. Next. I only use this phone for doing calculations and stuff in here. Okay, so 38.5, right? 38.5, yep. Divided by 2 equals 19.25 inches. So both of these pieces have folds in them. Remember, we folded them nicely, ironed them all, made sure they were all nice and straight. I'm going to put them both on top of each other. So that the folds match up. And nice and smooth. Now from the fold, not from a cut edge, but from this fold, I am going to go in 19.25 inches. 19.25 inches. Take my second ruler, line it up. Now this time I'm going to make sure it's square with the cut edge of the fabric. Move this out of the way. And voila, I now have two pieces that are 38.5 inches wide by 11.5 inches tall. And if you look, that's what it's going to need to be for there. Okay, to finish off the edges, we need to get one finished edge on each of these rectangles, because that's what's going to be seen on the back side of the pillow. So to finish them off, we take our iron and we're going to do a double roll hem. And it's going to be 1/4 of an inch tall. So my lovely little gadget here, which is for pressing, it's got all sorts of different sizes on it. And of course, it's only got 1/4 of an inch on this small short side. I'd love it if it was on the long side, but no such luck. So I place that down and I roll my fabric over. And I don't start on the corner. I start kind of further down. And I iron. And then I go back and make sure I get the edge. Because you want to get it started off the edge a little bit. That way it doesn't pucker. Now I usually let it sit for a few minutes. And then I start going further down. I don't use the guide all the way down, because once you get it started, you can pretty much see where that 1/4 of an inch is. All right, now that I have it started, move this from here, because it will be hot. And it can even be hot all the way up on this side when you use it, so just be careful. We have to shift so we can get the other part of it, because it doesn't all fit on my ironing board. Give me just a minute. Talia, dear, what's wrong? Talia. All right, and then I take my guide back and test on the edge to make sure I did it. It's a little big, but not bad. Hi, Talia. What's the matter, baby? Are you okay? Oh. It's okay, baby. All right, she's going to leave now. And now we're going to roll it and do it, fold it up a second time. And I don't bother with the guide at this point. I just go with how long it was when I started. All right, I have to step out here and see what's going on because she seems to still be upset. What's going on, babe? You done? Okay. You sure you're okay? You gonna be okay? Okay. She's probably gonna come back 3 or 4 more times because she seems a little fired up about something. All right. Let's do this. Yeah, she's still out there upset about something. I just don't know what. Okay, so we now have this rolled twice. I'm going to move this over to the sewing machine and do the same thing to this piece of fabric. So rolling up from the little, somewhere a little further down the mid, towards the middle. Well, not the middle of the piece, but further down from the edge. And then we continue rolling. All right, careful with this, it will be hot. All right, and now our second roll. Okay, shift our fabric. Yeah, I'm not pressing quite as hard this time. We're going to sew this, so if it doesn't fold over completely, it doesn't have to be the sharpest seam. I mean, later on, it's going to sit there, so you do want it to be somewhat pressed, but we are going to sew it together. All right, to the sewing machine we go. Oops, what happened there? There, oh, it went to the sewing machine. It just decided to shut down at the same time. All right. I am not changing my thread, my needle, or my walking foot off, because for this it's just no big deal. I also don't care if I use starter fabric or not, because it is going to be sewn into another seam, so we'll be fine. I need to drop my stitch length down. Needle up. That's not what I wanted to do, but okay. We'll leave the stitch length as it is. I meant to put my presser foot up button, and I pushed my start button, which makes it sew all by itself without pressing the foot pedal down. Now this is technically a top stitch, so if you want to do it from the right side, that would make sense too. My machine stitches just fine either way, so I don't care which side is visible. But some machines are not as pretty with their bobbin thread. like the fact that I used the green instead of white. Looks a little bit better. All right, let's do this one. Wonderful! Now comes my scariest part. Every month, I'm always scared of this part. Because now I need to, I don't need that, I need to make sure that the envelope side that goes down is on the top, and the envelope side that goes up is on the bottom. That way they will sit like this on the back of a pillow. And the top, if the bottom piece sags at all, it won't be any big deal because of the fact that it's covered by the top. So I want it to stay that way. Here is our pillow top. Take these pieces and we put them here. Now I'm going to get some clips as I run into another sewing machine that I've got sitting here. All right, clips. Take this piece right into the corner. And clip. I'm going to take the bottom piece right into the corner. And clip. And then the two pieces together clip once and clip a second time. Voila! Now to do the same thing on the other side. If you are so inclined, feel free to put as many pins in this as you want. I've done it both ways, where I've pinned the living daylights out of it or clipped or whatever you want to use. I've also done it where I've put basically nothing on it, and both have worked, and both have worked out fine. Keep in mind, I am going to keep the walking foot on, so that should make it a little bit better, but as you send your fabric through the machine, it's going to feed at different rates, and there's a possibility that the two sides, the top and the bottom, won't be even. And back to the sewing machine we go. And it does not matter where you begin. You are going to go all the way around the quilt. And yes, this time, oh, actually it's on 2.5. I should have made it longer, but we're going to leave it at 2.5. Go down this long side. There we go. Getting a little wide on my seam here. Okay, last little bit. Wonderful. Now, scissors. Gonna need those. Come back to here. So the last thing we have to do is the corners need to be trimmed. Let's get a closer view of that. Oh, come on. All right. Oh. So we have a corner. And we want that point to be as sharp as possible. So we're going to take our scissors. We're going to cut right up, but not on that stitch. So just to the edge of it. And that way, our corners will be nice and pointy on the other side. Now, I cannot tell you how many times I've actually cut the thread, so be very cautious as you do this, because then you'll get a hole in your pillowcase, which will make you not happy. At least, it makes me not happy. All right. Now, we take it and we keep our fingers crossed that I set it up the right way. First corner, we poke the corner out. See, now we have a nice sharp corner. And this one. And I didn't cut any of the corners yet. There's one left. Let's see. Yay! They're all straight. Excellent. And let's see here. That's the top. There we go. So here is our bench pillow cover of the month for March. It's all nice and green and shamrocky, and as you can see, when the bottom pocket falls, it's kind of covered. Now, obviously, there's going to be a pillow in here, so it won't fall as much. But if it falls like it does, then it is covered up by the top of the envelope. And as I've said earlier, seriously considering that they probably need some Velcro in them. But as of right now, this is it. And so we have completed March's bench pillow of the month. Next time we get together live, as I said, we will be doing knitting. It is a very, very basic introduction to general yarn. We're just going to talk about basic yarn, basic knitting needles, casting on, and knit. That's all we're going to talk about. So that's going to be our next live stream, which will be, for me, tomorrow. So